I can't believe how many districts y'all are responsible for. That's craziness. But I know a lot of them are rural, and that's one of the reasons why we really need this collaboration, because what we've learned from our survey is 75% of our districts only have one high school. So that means there's a lot of rural communities out here in Texas, and we need to hear this voice a lot. I want to know who's in the room with me today. Administrators? Okay. College? Oh, great. Okay. Is this UT Tyler? Nice. UT Tyler has a counselor educator program, right? Online, all online? No? Oh, okay. Yay. I'm undergrad. You're undergrad, okay. Business and industry? Fantastic. Who from business and industry do we have specifically? Eastman Chemical. Joy Barber. Yeah, Eastman Chemical. Eastman Chemical.
Capstone College and Career Advising.
Oh, okay. Nice.
I'm with the Chamber.
With the Chamber. Fantastic. Okay. And practitioners? Counselors? That's what I was thinking, practitioners. I could sense it. I could sense it because y'all were the bravest people who sat in the front. Just kidding. Well, like Sherry said, Texas OnCourse came about with HB 18 really backwards. You know, HB 5 said, here, counselors, help students even before they get into high school, start planning out what their high school career was going to be about. And it really was in conjunction with workforce development. How do we get students to identify early on what it is they want to do with their high school career that'll be in preparation for after high school, whether that be in the workforce or it be a post-secondary option. We want them all to be open to that. But we need to help students design that for themselves so that they become much more engaged in their own process, in their educational process. That was HB 5's hope. They sent it down to middle school counselors who have never really worked in the career advising field. They're really all about developmentally, here's where the student is. These are the two transitions that are huge, they're scary. This is what we're going to do for our students. It's all about social and emotional well-being. Sometimes we go into classes and we talk about careers, but it was very global and it was nothing like self-discovery. It was nothing like self-development. It was more about overview. And yet these are the people who we want to prepare our students for what's happening next. Here are the courses that you have to take if you want to prepare for something in healthcare. Here are the courses that you have to take if STEM is really your interest. I've noticed that on your STAR testing, you score really high in science and math, and you say that nursing is something you're interested in. Here are how we can match your interest with a schedule that's going to prepare you for what's coming after high school. And dropped the ball on them and said, good luck. Then HB 18 said, oh my God, I can't believe I did this to the counselors because I ill-prepared them for something that really is about building strong communities. And workforce development knows this better than anybody. When you get the right person on the bus, good to great. Anybody read that book? Good. Then you have this strong community that when I go to the hospital, I know that that nurse knows exactly what she's doing because she's prepared for this job. I know that the engineers are not going to let something bad happen in their process because they've learned that job well and are passionate about doing it well. That's what counselors are made to do. We really do want to help students figure out what it is that they want to do in life to make a fulfilled life. So HB 18, again, even though it came a little backwards, we want to build the best training platform for counselors and practitioners because we have the charge of not just preparing counselors, but we know that advisors are doing this job as well. And that's a new morphing kind of thing, but they really only work with college-bound students. So we need to give them some career advising background as well, because what they know is how to get kids into college. They know the process of college admissions. They know about financial aid. The same thing that we do, but we don't always have time for because we have other duties as assigned as counselors. We become pseudo-administrators. Because our administrators sometimes don't understand the role that we could play to help them in graduation rates, dropout rates, student engagement, student attendance, all of these things that if we gave us the time to do, we would do it really well, and you would be the benefactors for it because administrators set this on their agendas every single year in their campus improvement plans. Here's some of the people that make up our team. It's a very small team, but we're pretty nimble. And we really believe in the work that we're doing because I've been a practitioner for about 18 years. I left Houston ISD as their director of counseling and guidance. That's the 6th largest district in the country with 284 campuses and lots of counselors to support. So it was really exciting for me to think, hey, can I do this for Texas? No, I can't. But then I found people like Sherry to say, oh, these are regions. They're broken down. They already have an individual that supports them. They actually are responsible for pushing out an initiative that comes through the state anyway. So this is like a marriage made in heaven. And they've been really supportive, and I really appreciate that. So we have about 3 people on our content team that are developing these courses, and we have to provide it online because of that rural feel that Texas has. We want to make sure that everyone has access to it. But we don't, what we heard from counselors in the survey is this is the least liked platform for training. Only 10% said I prefer online training. And yet, and the other side of that, they complained about time and distance. So we knew that we were dealing with a lot of counselors who have to travel a long way to do some type of training. So we feel like if we make it as interactive and engaging as possible for counselors, that time and distance is going to really benefit us because it's going to be right there in real time for them. If I have a student who is undocumented and I really want to know about financial advising for that student, there's a module for that, and I can do it right then. I can help the student right then. Special education, special populations, ELL, all of those things are broken down in our modules so that the counselor can really determine what their needs are for them, for their professional development. What else? Oh, so counselors do a really interesting job with data. When we work with students, our job is really about how they're feeling, or what are they doing okay today? Because most times it's the social and emotional realm that we're dealing in. So most times we're in the hallways going, and we really, this is our data collection. This is how we determine whether we're doing a good job or not. But there's other areas that we are responsible for that data is actually already there. And we just need to learn how to use it. In our platform, we're going to have a lot of data dashboards included in it, and it's going to be region specific so that I know how many of my students have completed a financial aid application, how many of my students have completed a college application, how many certifications, and are they related to my region's needs? Have it been taken, or how many, what am I trying to say? Earning certifications? Is that how it is? Okay. But again, we want it to be related to the region. So we're going to give you data on demand, workforce demand in your region, and then certifications that are related to that so that you can gauge your own practice. Are we getting students involved in areas that would benefit our community? And if not, why not? There's students out there that want to do this work. Have we just not figured out a way of identifying them? And that's what we want to do more of. I think I've actually covered. So for the counselors in the room, know that everything that we have, all of the competencies that we've included in our work are based on what work is already expected of you. It is coming from the Texas Evaluation Model for Professional School Counselors. We know that it's under rewrite right now, and I think y'all are going to have Ernest Cox in a couple of weeks talk about the rewrite. But all they did was really streamline it. So instead of the 8 domains, you're going to have 4 domains. And those 4 domains, one of those is post-secondary and career advising. Again, the competencies are all the same. They're just streamlined into these 4 components so that you can start identifying what it is that you're supposed to be doing a lot easier. And then, of course, our other charge is parent and student-facing information for 7th and 8th grade students. HB 18 said, we must have a conversation with either a 7th or an 8th grader about post-secondary and career advising. And it should happen as early as possible so that they can build that 4-year plan to mean something, not get into high school as a freshman and go, I don't really know you, but here's the schedule I'm going to put you in. If we're doing that as middle school counselors, then we're doing a disservice to our students. Why are we here? We want, again, to build the best product possible for our counselors. So if it's not working for business and industry, if it's not working for post-secondary settings, if it's not working for the practitioners, we want to know that. And we want to hear it from you. Something's wrong with this course. It's missing something. Or we never do that with our students. Or this sounds good, but I need more information on. So whatever it is that you feel once you look at our course content that's missing, that we need to add, please let me know. Because our ultimate goal is to have student educational outcomes match workforce development, but not in a way that says track. And we know tracking students, even though it's happening now, and you may not call it tracking because everybody loves the college-going culture. So all of a sudden, everybody's being pushed to college going. And 4-year universities, here's the, the panacea. Here's where we want all of our students to get. That is not functioning for a lot of our students at all. Even though we say, and we create this college-going culture, and we have them complete those applications, only 20% of our students complete a 4-year degree out of the ones that go. And I should have shown you the little chart that Gen Tech put out, but it followed 8th graders at longitudinal study, and only 20% of our students that started at 4-year university actually completed it. That means we're failing our students in a way that is not okay. We are tracking them, but we're tracking them in the wrong way. We're not saying to the individual student, what are your interests? And how do you see yourself being and living in this community here, in this rural community, or in this metropolitan community, or these suburbs? How do you see yourself living here? Because you want that doctor that really cares about people, about patients, about medicine. All of those combined together make the best community possible. We really want the water processing plant to function well because we see what happens when it doesn't. We know what happens to our kids. We know what happens to our families when that doesn't happen well.
So Sam, may I ask
Yes.
a question here? I think your point you just made is right on the mark. And I've always wondered and been concerned about standardized testing reinforcing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And is there anything now, I mean, I'm maybe with where you guys are in counseling and the school systems that is rewarding the point you just made.
Right.
Connecting kids with their interests and their passions with educational opportunities.
Yes.
What's the reward for that?
If you will restate that question so that it can be.
Oh, sure. So I was just asking a question about testing, standardized testing, and how it relates to workforce development or interest of students. How do we gauge those two things together? Is that what you were asking specifically?
Well, yeah, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I've seen, it was my observation that because we have rewarded teachers, and I'll say reward, maybe y'all might not feel like it's a reward, but you're required to make sure your kids, hit certain scores on standardized tests. So your curriculum, your focus is trying to make sure that, no matter what, they make the score on the test. It's the way the school gets funded and all that. But I think that has distracted us in the school systems from matching kids' interests and their passions with educational opportunities. And so my question is are we doing anything to change that reinforcement system? It is reinforcing.
Right.
Maybe it's not reinforcing, but it is definitely punishing, right? I mean,
right.
If you don't make the mark, you're gonna feel that as a school district, as a school. You're gonna,
So the pressure of standardized testing, does that overarch what we are trying to do in student development or career development?
If we also know
Right. So I think HB5 tried to do that simply by saying less standardized testing, 5 EOCs as opposed to the 15. I think that that was really the direction that they wanted to go in terms of please stop making this the high stakes and please start making high stakes really about student success and how do we measure. Oh yeah, the 10th grade. I'm not sure. I think the good question would be for the post-secondary, you know, what does endorsement selection mean? How are you gauging this conversation with your districts to say, here's what it means for admissions, here's what it means to the student, and workforce development, the same thing. Are we gauging the certificates that students are earning? And if not, why not? Because that's a performance acknowledgement under HB5. It's coming. You're going to see it on their diploma. What does it mean to you? You're the one that's going to give currency to it, not us. Educators are going to help the students identify that, develop their student interest based on that, but ultimately you give the currency. Anybody?
Yeah, that's what we were gonna say. It hasn't really started yet.
So you'll wait until they graduate and then you'll go.
These are our concerns though. I'm the dean of enrollment at TJC, and so I have advising and testing. We could see a turn upward with the 4x4, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. We could see a huge stride in how students were prepared to come. Now there are pathways, but I'm not sure we're enough to gauge, are they choosing a career pathway, or are they choosing the easiest path? Or are they choosing just what the school can offer?
Right.
That's exactly what they want to study in college.
Oh yes, we hear that all the time.
I'm a parent in the game. I have twins that will be juniors.
Nice.
I had twins that were in the 4x4, they're 23. So I saw a difference in what they were having. Yeah, it's a true story. What they were taking and how they finished. Whereas now, I don't think the shift is in that.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Because
let me tell you, HB5, the shift was supposed to be, you tell me what a distinguished level of achievement diploma means, and you tell me the difference between that and a foundation, and then I make a decision as a parent and a student. And so, yes, we are giving them, we're empowering the parents and the students to make that decision, but you're right, there are going to be some students who say that, cutting themselves off from a four-year university or the requirements for a four-year university. And yet those conversations are what we're supposed to have with them so that they know this is what you're doing. You're closing that door to that post-secondary option. You're saying right now as a 9th grader that you don't want to take the courses that are required in order for you to gain admissions into those positions. Is that what you were going to share?
Yes, I
Okay.
think that's our job, is
Yeah.
to make sure that they're aware that these are if you choose this path, then your options are X, Y, and Z. And if you choose this path, then your options are A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of that is us being educated enough
To make
on
that
what
information,
those college admissions or those technical schools or what the workforce wants to be able to
right.
communicate
Yeah.
that with the parents and
Yeah.
students.
And we haven't really heard from workforce development in terms of which certifications really mean something, which ones make our students employable. And those conversations have to be had. Otherwise, we don't know how to advise our students. We can say, OSHA, it sounds good. It'll work in a lot of different fields. But really, does that make a difference to our students? If we're saying right after high school, I want to work, what makes me employable? We need to know that.
I could make a comment on behalf of industry and business, having been involved in many years of working at the House Bill 5. And I know, there was some criticism that, well, gee, we're just trying to cut kids off, and say that, well, some of you guys don't need to go to college and that sort of thing. I'll tell you, Pete and I will tell you that we want the most educated workforce we can get. All right? And so, to me, House Bill 5 is about providing additional options to inspire kids to get educated.
Right.
And I'd love it if every chemical plant operator that we had, went through high school, went through a chemical process degree certification like Kilgore offers, goes on to Texas, UT Tyler and gets the 4-year, what's that? Industrial technologist degree. We want the most educated people because listen, the pace of technology change is going to be unbelievable in the next 30 years. And we've got, Pete and I both worked at least more than 30 years, and we've seen a lot of change.
Yeah.
That will be 10% of the change the next 30 is going to see.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to misinterpret that, at least a lot of people like myself in the industry, our motivation was not to reduce the amount of education, for anybody. But it was to
And yet we actually want to streamline that. If education can happen at the high school level, we want that for the student. If that's what their goal is, we want that for the student. We're not trying to push our agenda in terms of, again, creating this college-going culture, which has really sold out some of our students. And it's not fair.
Just one other thought, Walker.
Yeah.
I think, too, it's just important that we engage students in learning. All right? And
Yes.
I don't think that there is.
Are you an educator, sir?
Yeah. I am. Because we taught the same principles for engaging our workforce.
Yeah.
And play for engaging students. So
Very true.
And it's all about what does someone aspire to be and helping them attain their goal in life through the work that we have in our workplace. It's no different than
Right.
school. But the thought I was going to share there is that I think that I cringe a little about talking about options. If you make a choice in 7th or 8th grade, that, oh my gosh, it's a lifelong choice. I don't believe that.
No.
I think the important thing is to keep kids engaged in learning. I don't care what they're learning, but they're engaged in whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Later on, if they change their mind, I just listened to the radio coming over here, and it was some person was talking about all these people in their 50s that decided to take on something, for the first time, that are very famous about what they've accomplished.
Mhm.
So their message was, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
If we're talking about 7th or 8th grade versus being 25, that's small in comparison to talking about being in our 50s. So to me, it's all about having options from a counselor standpoint that you can tools to use to engage every child to be motivated and inspired to learn.
Yep.
And if they get that out of it, you've won the game.
And I think that's what House Bill 5 has done well,
Yeah.
because I worked at the ISD for 26 years, and now I've jumped over to the ISD side. And so I've done it for about 8 or 9 months now. And what they've done well is told the student, okay, if you go the certification route, that's great. If you go the applied science route, that's great. If you go bachelor's route, that's great. Hey, did you know you can take that applied science and get a bachelor's, get a BAAS? And so telling them, great.
What
If
the
you're
options are,
interested in welding, welders make great money. If you're interested in anything out there, continue your education, but go to the fullest extent that you can. And I think that's what House Bill 5 has done. They said, not everybody's going straight to the university, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Good.
But get what you can. Get a certificate, get an endorsement, get a 2-year degree, get that maximum amount of education you can get to fulfill your dreams and your direction. And that's what they've done well, and that's what I think our counselors should and are out there doing.
Or trying to, for sure. Yeah.
Well,
I think.
I'm the director of counseling at Tyler ISD, and so I work with all of the counselors, and I think the awareness piece with House Bill 5 of starting early
Mhm.
with kids in the younger grades, learning about what their options are when they get to middle school. I think House Bill 5 has done a great job with that.
Right. Yeah.
Because I don't think it was talked about enough.
No.
And when they got to middle school, they didn't know which direction they wanted to go, or even which direction they could.
Yep. And I think to share a little bit more about your point, it really is not about making a choice that's going to stick. It's about making an informed choice. So giving the kids the skill set that they need, and you're going to need this from them as well in workforce development, giving them the skills that they need to make an informed decision. Every single time they come up with something that's about a choice, I'm going to look at my schedule and I'm going to say, that doesn't work for me. Why am I taking culinary arts and my interests are in this? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I think
Sherry told me to get closer because you need the mic. And,
being from a larger school, we have a variety of things we can offer.
mhm. Not so in the.
I've
Not
been
so.
trying to get my word in, but they
Also,
just
cannot do,
don't even get me
Right.
started on it. 'Cause
Yeah.
We went to the Economic Development Corporation and we did a survey and we said, tell us what's needed most.
Nice.
And we
And in
used
3 years,
that-
that's going to change.
we use that to try to decide the best certifications to offer for our
Nice.
area.
Good.
But just because, we gotta go
You should be
back.
doing that annually.
We need to go back and look at
Help
what
me.
career and technical education looked like before, and that was where you put the kids that couldn't, but now it's where you put the kids that can, because just because you get a certification doesn't mean you cannot go on and do other things. We have kids
You can
right
earn
now-
a lot of good money and then go to.
Well,
yeah.
and I look at our school and the high percentage of economically disadvantaged kids. I don't want those kids to graduate hundreds of thousands of dollars in
And
debt.
debt.
But if some of our health science kids are graduating with 2 certifications, and because of the rotation that we do with the hospitals, they're getting noticed, and that they're saying, you know what, we'll pay for your school if you'll agree to work for us for a while.
Right.
And those are the kinds of things you have to design it to fit, to bloom where you're planted.
Yeah.
And, it has to be for your area,
I
your
love
school, and your size school. And we can't just put kids in a classroom because there happens to be an empty seat there during that period.
Absolutely. Yes. Preach on, sister. I love that. I love that bloom where you plant, or what was it? I'm sorry, did I miss it? Yeah, that's what I'm going to start using, because that's exactly what we want. And yet, I said it facetiously, you have to do that every year, but can you really change your high school programming every year? No. There has to be some kind of mix somewhere, but the conversation has to start. Workforce development can help us with identifying what the needs are. They can actually give us a lot of information about occupational outlook. They can give us the mean. They can tell us the average, salary for those jobs. All of these things that we can share with the students, again, to help them make an informed decision. But if you don't provide the programming, because it's really difficult to hire those CTE teachers, especially in rural communities, because they don't want to live there unless their husband's a coach, and then they'll, come in. Or you don't have,
It's nice to talk about, and we've all been talking about all the House Bill 5 things we can offer this and that. I can't. I've got multidisciplinary. That is it. And that's all I can. It's not because I can't get teachers. I can convince a teacher to come live in Nacogdoches and work out. But I can't find the money to put in an auto tech deal, and to put into this, or put into that, to put into this.
Yeah.
I've got 200 kids. I've got 20 teachers. And there's no such thing as doing one thing on this campus. I mean, it's the reality for you. You talk about 75% of our districts have one high school. Well,
some of them don't even have a high school.
We're
some of them move.
We're doing a high school, middle school before too long.
Right.
And so the reality is, and I worked at Nacogdoches as an administrator. I worked at Lufkin as administrator before I came to Alto, and that was a different world. And it was a spoiled world, because I could take my car and have a guy pick it up and run it around the building and get the oil changed by the kids, and then bring it back. At Alto, I can't do that. I mean, there's just no way. I don't have those options. Yeah. I don't. And we can talk about, it's hard to find those people. It's hard to find. No, it's not hard. It's hard to find the money to put it in. I can do that. And so the reality is that there's way more schools like mine than there are like Nacogdoches or Tyler. And so that, that's what the answers I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm not sure if we can answer all those questions through our modules, but we're going to try. I mean, there are some things that when you give us that feedback, so that we're really, how do we choose and select a schedule that's going to help students when we don't have the program? We don't offer the program. Oh, nice.
We could offer it, and it was seamless. I mean, we could offer it.
Yeah.
I wasn't so excited about House Bill 5
now.
Walking in the building Alto.
Yeah, how are we going to do that? So because we have 2 groups, we have the counselors and advisors, and really we want to open this up to anybody, because we know coaches sometimes do advising. They really feel passionate about getting their students, their athletes, as much scholarship money, as much opportunity after high school. So how do we help them? We have an NCAA module that talks about those regulations and requirements. So again, even though the coaches mean well, a lot of times they don't have the right information to give to students. We can run them through a module and say, oh, here's how you're going to train those coaches so that they can have a real conversation with their students about what's really required, not about what I think they might need in their schedule. Because they're the ones that come screaming at us going, put them in. Well, that's not what they need if they want to go to a four-year university or if they want to play for a 2A college or what, I don't know. I'm so out of the loop. It's not even funny. But that's why we're focusing only on technical skills. It really, you know, we're taking a master level counselor and we're trying to keep them as engaged as an advisor who might have a bachelor's degree in education but might actually have it in other areas, just had an interest in helping students in an educational setting. So here is our development. It's those three areas: career advising, post-secondary advising, and financial advising. Those are the things that we heard loud and clear from our needs assessment of the counselors. Here's what we need. Here's the areas that we need to focus on. And here's the skills that I need in order to do this. I've been out of the loop for a while, and now I need to figure this out. Especially in career advising, it's very interesting that, you know, we went to one course called career counseling, and usually it wasn't our full-time faculty, it was an adjunct who we didn't know, and we used the same book, career counseling, black and white, lots of, you know, you saw those people with the different occupations, and then we talked about Super and Holland and Erickson. It didn't really make a lot of sense to us then because we weren't practitioners. So how do we change that? How do we go from theoretical to practical as counselors to say, oh, here are the skills that I need in order to help students with this process? And how do we move it into workforce development, mentorships, internships? How do we do that? So those are the things that are included for us. Today, we just want to talk about validating our core competencies. We really need your help, again, looking at these competencies. Are they relevant? Do they meet everyone's goals? That's why we wanted different people from business and industry, from the post-secondary setting, practitioners, the directors who are responsible now from the for the counselors. We need to hear from you in terms of our work. Is it relevant? Does it make sense for everyone? This is just some of the partners that we have. It's a consortial model. Even though we're housed at UT Texas, it not UT Austin. It does not belong to UT Austin. That's just because it's close to the state capital. They're the ones who allocated the money. They can oversee it a lot easier if they're right there in the same city. So that's the only reason that we are housed there, not because they are proprietary at all over our product. It is really about development. The beauty of that is we also get to use their resources. So we get to use their video equipment. We get to use their TAC office for some really interesting data visualization things. We get to use the Center for Teaching and Learning when we start looking at assessments in this online module to make them really innovative and creative for counselors. So there's some benefits to being housed there, but again, they don't own anything from us. If there's already something that's developed and it's good, if anybody, high school counselors, You Aspire has an award letter reader that's really great so that the students can see, what does this mean in my awards? How do I determine whether I'm getting a good financial aid package or not? They already have that developed, so we're not going to develop it. We're going to go to You Aspire and we're going to say, we want to use this tool. We want it embedded in our content. Give us permission or we'll purchase it, but we need this for every counselor to have access to it. Same thing, Rice University has a college advising online course already. We don't want to redevelop it if it's a good course. We want the counselors to select it, go to it, build that competency, and then they get credit for it. And we don't know what credit looks like yet, but we're working on it. These are some of our partners. Some of them, my favorites are Texas Counseling Association, Educate Texas, Advise Texas. The other ones are really for-profit. Oh, TACAC, College Board. The people who are already trying to help build this practice anyway, those are the ones that I really like working with. The other ones, we are working with them simply because they have a tool that we want to use. Oh, I forgot Texas Workforce Commission, which again, they even developed some career development curriculum for us, and they're giving it to us for free, K through 12. So every single grade level has lesson planning. So very easy for counselors to access, and that'll be included in our content. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to say about this other than these are some of the things that we're trying to think of when we're building this. We want to rate our things. When someone uploads something that they're doing in a rural community, I was just in, oh crap, I've traveled too much. It'll come back to me, but they were doing some great stuff, and it was Manor ISD, and they were doing something in the middle school that was phenomenal. In helping students prepare for that endorsement selection. And I thought, we'll never hear those voices until we have a platform like this so that Manor can upload what they're doing with their students, and you get to rate it. Every user gets to rate that, and then like Pinterest, you'll see that it has more likes than anybody. Then we contract with the person to do some type of TED Talk or something so that they can talk us through their process, and you get access to that as a person who's taking this course. For counselors, this should speak loud and clear to you that there's a gap here for our students. And it's a gap that we can't afford to keep. Less than high school, some college, no degree. And this is from actual students who are saying, I want to be there. These are 10th graders who say, I want to have a degree. And yet there's a gap between actual attainment and the demand for it. Here's the students who say, I want to do this, 71% say, I want to do this, only 33% attain it. What does that mean to us as counselors? We're failing some of our students. They're saying that they want to do this for us, but we're not helping them get there. We're not giving them the tools to go to and through college. Principals say, here are the things that match what I need from my counselors. And yet I don't know if they always give us the time to do this. They say that career advising is important and that it aligns with what their goal is in terms of career exploration, available career pathways. These are important to them. Now they need to give us the time to do this work. In financial advising, they love to have an increase in number of scholarship participants. They love the number of financial aid applications. We hear it in our scholarship awards banquets all the time at the end of the school year. We have $2.3 million worth of scholarships for our students. That number means a lot to them, and yet they don't always give us the time to do what we have to do to support that work. Because we know we can hand the kids the scholarship applications. We don't always have the follow through because we don't have the time to go back and say, Johnny, where are you in that application? I need to have it. Let me mail it out here. And sometimes they don't even give us the resources. I was begging for stamps sometimes. I'm like, why am I begging? You want this number. I don't. I care about my students. So this is actually through Texas Education Code. These are the things that are administrators. So I'm giving you some leverage, counselors. This is what they have to put in their district improvement plans every single school year. And these are the areas that you can help them achieve just by your practice as a counselor. Instructional methods for addressing the need of student groups not achieving their full potential. So you are the ones who are identifying these students anyway. You're the ones having parent conferences to keep them motivated. You know, one of our goals in the Texas evaluation model is motivation to achieve. That's something that we're supposed to inspire in students as counselors. That's our role. And this is saying to us, we need to do that. So when you want to prove to your administrator that you have the skill set to do what they have to do, just show them this. Dropout reduction, how does that happen if students are not engaged? Again, student engagement is one of our goals. It's actually in our evaluation model. It says we need to increase student engagement. And how do we do that? We figure that out. We do guidance curriculum in the classrooms all the time to help them stay on track, which really helps again with dropout prevention. Career education to assist students in developing the knowledge, skills, and competencies necessary for a broad range of career options. That's in code right now. And your administrator has to develop a goal around this and turn it into the state. Strategies for providing to middle school, junior high school, and high school students, teachers, and school counselors and parents information about higher education admissions, financial aid opportunities, the need for students to make informed curriculum choices. That means I need to plan out my schedule best for me to be prepared for success beyond high school. And sources, I have to locate the sources of information for higher education and financial aid. This is already their law. This is what they have to do as administrators. All you have to say to them is, I can help you with this. I actually have the skill set to do this as a counselor. I can do it better than anybody on this campus because I actually trained for this. I think I'm going to stop there because this is, I don't think I'm going to have time for that stuff that I really need from you if I don't. Here's our contact information. I'm going to share this information with Sherry, so if anybody needs this, you'll have it.
And this is also being recorded, and so it'll be available for you to.
Oh, yeah. These people are really high tech. I didn't even know about Zoom. I'm like, what? Okay. Now, I'm actually going to go to our competencies so that you can know what I'm talking about. We're only going to do one section today because I don't think we'll have enough time to do this. But I want you to look through these, just start reading them, write down your gut reactions. We actually have a form that I'm going to pull up in just a second. You can do this electronically, one per table. It doesn't have to be every single person. But I want us to capture what it is that you see might be missing. Now that I should have selected career advising, but this is the one that's most fleshed out right now. So just take a look at it. Can everybody see it? Okay? Okay. If just one person in the table, and again, I really would like this post-secondary people feedback. Yeah, I just wanted everybody to open it so you could read it, but only one person at your table has to fill it out. So y'all can share it with that one person.
In the box, is that box for this question or for our response to the other questions?
Oh my gosh. So the other one doesn't have boxes?
No, there's no boxes on any of the others. There's just, would you add any additional competencies and then a place to explain that? And then would you delete other resources?
Okay.
We'll just listen.
Yeah, I think that's, it's just going to have to be that question. But if you want to add anything else about those other questions, I can't believe that. Yes.
Because not only are you training other people,
Those levels are really proficient, fluent, and expert. So, oh, I'm sorry.
We're not just coming in and saying, there's a presentation today on blah, blah, blah. But now you get to go out and do some research on this job and come back to us. So we're taking you away from regular classroom time.
Thank you, Sherry. I appreciate it. Totally fine.
Around 11.
Okay.
So I just didn't want you to think I was.
Oh my God, how
lost
rude! I
interest when
cannot.
think I was.
No.
Another thing that strikes me here, looking at this content, you know, what we're talking about here, we train our supervisors, you know, that they need to have quality career discussions, career interest discussions with their employees on an ongoing basis, but at least in a very formal setting once a year. Well, you know, as I think about the quality of that conversation that you're describing here, right, in the interaction,
We could sort of
seems
mock
like we
that.
are way understaffed at a counselor level to do this effectively. And I'm not sure that all of this belongs on the counselor.
Right.
I think we're gonna have some sort of distributed model, because if the classroom teacher is not owning the objective of inspiring lifelong learning, then this.
Why are they in education?
Why are they in education? One, right?
My fault. As a counselor, it's my fault.
Yeah. And so I think, you know, there's a need here for a contemplation of that, because I don't think when you get to the quality concept, you guys necessarily, there's a lot of firefighting you have to do, right? It comes with the territory. And some years it's going to be a special case that can wipe out the whole staff. So you got to have something else going on.
Yeah. I like that distributive model.
Yeah.
We've actually been talking about that in office. We didn't know what it was called because it's a business and industry term, but that's exactly what we want. Yeah. Which again is why I mentioned the coaches. They like to do the advising anyway, give them the right information. But teachers in the same way. Yeah. Yep.
But,
did you give me that feedback?
Lifelong learners.
Did you give me that feedback by any chance?
No.
And that's
I don't have
thanks. Man. What?
No. Well,
I didn't know how to do Zoom either, and all of a sudden I figured it.
Yeah, I know. I apologize for that, but I also have 58
Oh,
emails that came in the first hour.
Lord.
Anyhow, but I just wanted to share that thought, because I'm thinking about, hey, how do you do this? Well, you're not going to get an increase in his case of 1 to 10 counselors.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You got to engage those other 20 teachers to help with this process and do it in a quality way.
Nice.
And
that's a good idea.
The other thing that, you know, we talk about is in this engagement, you know, you're trying to help a person learn what their talent is. That's not trivial, and sometimes you can be 50 years old still learning what your talent really is. You're trying to help a person learn what their talent is and then connect that with their aspiration. Now, it's easy to connect the talent with the aspiration when it's well aligned.
Right.
I love math and science, and I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a doctor, or I love interacting with people, and I want to be, a counselor or whatever. Lots of piece of cake. So, hey, here's what we're talking about. But where it's a challenge is, and I even have this with employees, is I have someone come in and they describe a talent. And now one of the ways I get at the talent is what do you like doing? What activities and which classes do you really have fun at? Tell me about that. Right? And then, you listen to what their aspiration is, and when there's a disconnect, I don't say, well, you can forget that. No, I say, well, why don't you just explain something to you? What I've heard you say you really enjoy is this. And also part of that conversation is what do you not enjoy? And so then I say, and then I've heard your aspiration. Listen, I'm a big believer. I'm only standing here having this conversation with you because of persistence in many environments. So I'm a big believer anybody can achieve anything they willing to put their mind to. But I also just trying to get people to be realistic is that you're going to have to invest your time. And this is all about choices you're making. First of all, I'm not making this choice for you. That's a bad thing. Kids get turned off faster by feeling like someone's deciding for them than anything else.
Yep.
Counselor's role should be laying things out.
Here's where the options. Yeah.
Okay. So it's that you're going to have to invest in getting in focus on things that you just told me you don't enjoy. To obtain, I'm being realistic, because the people who are in these kinds of roles, this kind of leadership role, they enjoy this stuff you just told me you don't enjoy doing. Now, have you ever considered a different aspiration, right? Because I've got a process safety aspiration, expert aspiration over here for you that lines perfectly with what you just told me you really enjoy doing. So to me, it's about aligning the aspirations with their talent and what they enjoy. And when you get that, then the learning's a piece of it.
Oh yeah, because I'm engaged because I see the goal.
Yeah, see the goal and all that. So and sometimes though they may choose to say, well, you know what, that's my aspiration.
I still want to do that.
I still want to buckle down this. And I go amen to that, just so you know, and you're making a conscious choice.
Yep. For sure. I'm sorry. Can you wait? I'm trying to listen to this table back, and it's kind of hard because I can't. Go ahead.
Did you say the new model's coming out August or September for counselors?
So I don't know exactly when the rewrite is due. I think so, but Jan Freese would probably be the person you would want to call. Jan's overseeing that thing.
But pretty much this stuff is in it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I forgot to give you the caveat. This is just one component of an overall comprehensive counseling guidance program. Jan would kill me if she knew I didn't say that. But it really is. It's just one part of our job. Are y'all back? Are y'all in an area that we can actually now discuss as a group? Okay. So give me some of your burning thoughts. What were your ideas? One thing that I just learned from our colleagues in workforce development, there's this model called the distributive model. We've really been talking about that in terms of how do we get other individuals on the campuses to care about this work, especially when you have challenges like I have one counselor for 500 students, or I have one counselor who does K through 8, and then I have one counselor that does high school. So how do you get other people invested in student success? Because they're out there. You know, the English teachers really try to do as much as they can about college essays, preparation. Hopefully we're coordinating that in terms of when are you doing the persuasive writings? Because I really wanted to concentrate on how do I sell myself to a university, that kind of thing. And then we go in and we do the guidance curriculum because we need our work infused in that English teacher's classroom, but we also need to meet her standards of here's a persuasive writing. Or when we want to audit a transcript, we go to the math teacher and say, I'm going to talk decimals and fractions and missing half credits, those kinds of things. Is there a place in your standard that I can have that conversation with my students. And then all of a sudden they go, oh yeah, you're not wasting my time. You're actually using my time to meet my standards, but also to meet what's required for the students to understand their transcripts and how they're earning credits. So all of these conversations, we're very tricky people. We want to get them in those classrooms with the students, but we also want the teachers to know what our role is so that they can reinforce that on a daily basis. So then when they talk about fractions later on, they go, remember when the counselor came in and you talked about half credits, full credits, and earnings, and your GPA, and how you calculate that, all of those things. Really important to us, and yet they get reinforced by the teachers all the time if we're in the classrooms doing that. So anything else pop out that, oh, did I tell you that we learned the distributive model? And that's what we really need to figure out how to do on the campuses. Anything else post-secondary? Tyler?
If you don't mind, if someone's sharing, we'll go over closer to this.
Absolutely.
So that we can pick it up and-
Yes, ma'am. I feel like Oprah. Who has a question? Yes.
I don't really have a question.
Oh.
I think when we were talking, I saw it earlier and didn't say anything then, is that a lot of this stuff these are things we need to do at the school already. Part of it in rural communities or in the community that I'm in is getting parent buy-in as well. Because I want those kids to want to come to school, to want to go into the workforce or go to college or whatever their career path is. And I can do all of this at school. But if I need parent support, then, I mean, that's part of the puzzle as well, I guess is what I'm saying, because they need to know, parents need to be aware that these are the choices. And I know we're trying to do that with High School 5 by holding those freshman meetings or 8th grade meetings with the parent and the student. How do we get more parent buy-in, I guess, and maybe that's something that you could do a module on, you know, if y'all do some research and gather some data about the areas that aren't Lake Travis or Westlake High School where there's a large percentage of parents who are pushing their kids to do these things.
Our lawnmower parents?
Yes.
I will cut you if you mess with my kid.
Yes.
Oh, it's not helicopter anymore. It's lawnmower. Get in my way. Get in my way. I dare you. I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah. Your kid's going to be a doctor no matter what.
Yes.
Even if they're interested in artistry and they're actually really gifted artists, doesn't matter. Going into medicine.
Well, I think part of it is just putting it on the level of the parents to understand how to get their kids out of that life cycle that they may be in and that their parents were in, their parents' parents were in, and how do I get my kid out of that cycle of life into this?
That is a great module. We've actually talked about this. There's this thing called behavioral science that we're trying to infuse in our online content because we read a study, Ideas 42, if anybody has time to just read some great articles about how we inspire people through behavioral sciences. And one of the things that they said was, we went into into an elementary school, and we had parents start a savings account and have a conversation with their students about why they're starting the savings account. And it's about me believing in you, and I'm going to start saving money so that you can go to college. I'm going to start it with $5, and I'm going to just add as much as I can throughout your years of school. And just in hearing that conversation, the student realized, wow, my parent believes in my success, is willing to support my success. It didn't matter what happened with that account in terms of how much it grew. It really was just the belief that kept the student focused on that goal. So we're trying to do that kind of thing with our content, but you're right, there has to be a module that says, if we're going to set up one of those, where is it when we say, plan a post-secondary research session workshop for a specific target audience, we need to infuse that with, so how do we get parents to recognize their power to help support their students, whether it be building those routines at home, bedtime routines, story time routine, homework routine, breakfast routine, bath time routine, sleep time routine, all of those things that some people do really well, and it's just intrinsic in us. Sometimes our parenting just comes naturally and we say, oh, we need to be in bed by 8 o'clock. because I know what's going to happen in the morning. Oh, we need to choose our clothes at night because I know what kind of fight that's going to be like in the morning. We need to have breakfast, or at least I need to get you to school on time for you to have breakfast so that you'll be prepared for that learning that's going to happen afterwards. All of those questions, all of those conversations have to happen. And the counselors are usually the ones who do that coordination with the parents because we're the go-betweens. Teachers always going, oh, call this parent, because they're going to be mad. Call this parent. And they don't know how to do that themselves. That's okay, because we have the skill set for it. Yes, somebody,
I want to comment on that.
go ahead, Sherry.
Hopefully, if the state moves toward requiring parental engagement instead of parental involvement from an early age, then we'll build upon that. So I'm hoping that will be something that will be coming because of the expectations from the state. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of rural schools. You're going to know these parents forever. That's wonderful. Or it could be, but it really depends on what kind of relationship you build. We have those combative parents, but if we use our skill sets as practitioners to say, how do I reframe this? And sometimes I would sit with a parent that I knew was going to be really angry. And before we even started talking, I want you to know that we're on the same team. I want you to know that I have the same dreams and aspirations for your child that you do. I want that success as well. What we're here to do is work together so that we get that. And what do we have to do that? Yes, that teacher is mean, and she may be picking on your kid. So what skills does your kid need to live in that environment? Because we don't have another math teacher. It'd be great if we had another one and we could switch that class, but we don't. So what can we do together to make that work? Reframing is so hard. And especially when we have the angry ones. Yeah, but if not, I'm going to go in vivo and I'm going to go to their house. Anything else? Any other reactions? Anything we're missing? Thank you for that.
I went to a session on this at the school counselors conference, and they brought up some things. Is this suggested, or is this going to be required of all school counselors? So
nothing is required. I know, yeah. Even though we have a state initiative, even though they're paying us to develop this, we are offering stipends to the counselors, and we're saying, please take this, but that's like $5 million of the $20 million that we have set aside for stipends. And after the money runs out, we're hoping that those counselors are so enthralled in this content that they're going to share it out. And we're going to use your sphere of influence as well. When you have administrators that say, I'm not moving the needle on graduation rate, is there anything that you can do to help me? Oh yeah, Texas OnCourse has 3 modules on engagement that's going to help with graduation rate. All of those things that we know will work to make that needle move, we're going to have in there. So then you can say to the administrator, here's a professional development tool that I think you should investigate. And
required pre-K teachers, they have to do training that we don't have.
And then we have the required gifted. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are required by law, and this is not one of them. Our job was just to develop it. Anything else? Any other preguntas? Oh, why does this keep happening, Sherry? Am I doing something wrong? Oh. Next one will be our resources. I just want you to look at this list and tell me, are we missing something when it comes to post-secondary advising? Is this something that's familiar to you? Have you heard about these things? Did we hit the right places? Because these are the resources that we want to include in our content, but are we missing something? Are we not? Are there some things that are in here that no one will ever use? Why are we including them? Especially if we have to pay for it, If we have to pay for it to get it in our content, we'd rather not. My boss is always saying, do you want to fly over there? I'm like, no, that's expensive. I'll just rent a car and we'll drive over there. And we're the same way about this. If we don't have to pay for it, there's no reason we should. And we should leverage our position. This is going to go throughout the state of Texas. Do you want your product in front of counselors or not? If so, you should offer.
Links that can show them what the job needs are in certain areas?
So that's in our career
What
advising.
for?
Yeah, that's in our career advising piece. We're working with, do you know Robin Panovich? She's the state director for the CTAT, the Career and Technical Association of Teachers or something like that. Of Texas? Oh, okay. Oh, so you know Robin? Oh, nice. Okay. And Texas Cruise, is that? Oh, yes. We're actually, so that's another thing that our initiative is doing. We're actually working with the tri-agencies, TEA, the Texas Workforce Commission, and the Coordinating Board of Higher Education, to revamp those portals. So we're going to have, our Texas OnCourse is going to be housed in the same gateway as Texas Cruise, Texas Reality Check, and Texas Cares. Oh my God, isn't that a horrible website? If you were interested in NASA and the galaxy at some point, it was really wonderful, but not anymore. It's very outdated. So we're actually revamping it. But all of those are going to be on the same portal so that the counselors have access to everything at one time. Thanks for asking that question.
Is there a way to do, and you may have it in the career one as well, but something region-based where we would know our region what the career.
Yes, demand is.
Yes.
Absolutely. Lori Knight, does anybody know Lori? Okay, so Lori's actually helping us with that. They don't really know how to read their data yet, but we have a research analyst on our team to help develop that work out. So yes, it's going to be region-specific with all of the information you need, and hopefully a dashboard that's easy to understand so that the counselors will be much more likely to use it.
Daniel, going back to the modules,
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to create a module for administrators to give them a better understanding? What we tend to deal with lots of times in our area is that we have very supportive administrators. It's just like when they were in school, the counselor didn't do the things that we're expected to do. So they're going
based on what the counselor did when I was growing up. This is what, so that was the original charge in House Bill 18, that we were supposed to develop an online training module for administrators so that they would know what the role of the counselor looks like. Unfortunately, that was cut out at the last minute. What we are doing is trying to get into those conferences. I'm going to be presenting tomorrow afternoon at TASP, T-A-S-S-P. And again, trying to build the currency around our work. How do we get administrators to give the counselors the time to do it? No. But my hope is that we have some interest. And again, I'm going to ask them the same thing. Use your sphere of influence. How many administrators do you know have the same mentality of, well, here's what my counselor did, and they were ineffective. And so if I have the choice of, oh my God, in Houston ISD, decentralization was my worst enemy. So administrators got to choose whether they wanted a counselor on the campus or not. It was the most difficult thing in the world. But I'm sitting here going, okay, I'm going to support whoever you identify to do HB5, I'll help them. But know that if they're going to be working at a disadvantage because counselors already come with a skill set. But send them to my trainings, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to share a resource. It may not go here, but it's, are you aware of Texas Hot Jobs?
Texas Hot Jobs, no.
Yes.
Good.
The HOT stands for Health Opportunities in Texas.
Health Opportunities in
Yes,
Texas.
and it's
Okay.
a website that has over 90 different health science careers listed on it.
Nice.
Yes, the
Good.
schools you can go to in Texas, how long it would take you to train to become that professional.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yes, I'm from the Texas Area Health Education Center, and part of our mission is to promote health science careers. So we have that resource, and I think you read
Texas Hot Jobs. Did you put that on your feedback? Ooh, then I may not remember. No, the Zoom is recording it, but okay, great.
So we have the physical resource manual that we provide to schools, and we also have the website.
The website, which would be more appropriate for us, the website. Yeah.
Has anybody ever heard of Career Coach?
because they were asking, we bought Career Coach at TJC. It's on our website, but you go and enter in your major, and it's region specific. Somebody just asked about what the average salary is in that region, what
Oh,
the
nice.
future job market is, and those things. And it's free. It's free, yes, for any.
What did you call it?
Career Coach.
Career Coach. Okay. Nice.
Should there not be under, I know it says scholarships,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as a resource, like FAFSA, like the FAFSA forecaster,
Mm-hmm.
or there's other scholarship websites that are reputable sites like fastweb.com and things. I mean, I know you could come up with a whole list. I'm not sure how you targeted just those. Or you
Wasn't me. I'm
No,
in charge of
I'm just-
outreach.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the content team, yeah. And again, this is what we need to know. What are we missing? What's not included that would be really helpful? So, yes.
Yeah, FAFSA is huge as far as.
Oh, you know what? That's actually under financial advising. This is post-secondary advising? Yes. Okay.
Oh.
So this is about the college application process.
But see, we're fortunate enough to have Gov Center, as a lot of people.
Nice.
But that's not.
Again, that's not going to help. So please stop telling him what you have.
Oh, I know. I know exactly what you have.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, great. Thanks, Sherry. Okay. Anything else about this? And I'm supposed to share one more thing with you. These are the actual competencies written out under each area. So again, look at these competencies, the practitioners for sure. Look at this. Ugh. Do I know how to lighten this up? Brighten this up? Anything? Oh, maybe, yeah, just the lights, I think.
When and where does this like come out, or you can like go to it?
So, great. Right now we actually have a website, texasoncourse.org. Try that, please. Tell me if I'm right.
Oh, I'll just write it down.
Okay.
It's Texas OnCourse.
.org.
Yep. Or
Yay, okay.
read more about our initiative, what it's gonna do.
Fantastic.
So that brings up all this, and we can go into the.
Yes, this is actually not the modules themselves. They haven't actually been developed out. What we're doing is gathering information to make sure that we have the relevant information in there. So, nope, no development yet, just content developed. We don't even have our tech design person on staff yet.
When can we expect it to come out?
So the reason we're holding these focus groups is to identify people who would be interested in it, in helping us in the pilot. So then they would have access to the modules, to feel them out, to use them with their practitioners, to get more feedback about iterative changes that have to occur in the system.
I will be there.
Good. I'm going to give you a chance to sign up.
Yes.
Nice. In our we're going to have an exit survey in just a second, and you'll have an opportunity to click yes, I'd like to be involved in the pilot, and then your contact information. Yeah. I'm sorry, what?
I say it has a place to sign up for an email.
Yes, that's right. If you're interested in the newsletter as well. Yes. We're trying to think of everything. How do we get through the whole state of Texas in 3 months? Before our pilot. Because again, this is the only way that we're going to be able to identify who wants to be a part of it. Because it's a big commitment. We need your feedback. We need you to go through the modules and really be critical. And then my content team's going to cry and I'm going to say, change it. That's what they told us. But again, we want it to be as relevant as possible, real time. We don't want it to take away from the counselor's role. We want it to add to the counselor's role. We want them to look at it and go, oh, wait, there's a module on financial advising, and I need that because I've never had an undocumented student before. I don't know anything about TASFA. And yet that's what they have to fill out. So how do I do that? Any reactions? And really for this, it's about, does this sound like it's something they're supposed to do or not as counselors? Yes? Okay. Yeah, one of our first jobs was really looking at all of the competencies in the National Career Development Association, TACAC, ASCA, the Texas Evaluation Model, looked at all of their competencies and extrapolated all the ones that were related to post-secondary and career advising, and then built our work around those. So we say to the counselors, this should just resonate with you because this came from your standards that you're already living by. We don't want to add anything to your job because we know people are doing that already. People that mean well but don't really know what the role is.
So this competency model, it's pretty huge. It will expect a lot. So,
Yeah.
Once it's all said and done, in the ideal world, counselor
Mm-hmm.
is engaged. What percentage of their overall job would be occupied by trying to use these competencies effectively? Because
Right.
it leaves out a lot of other stuff that
Right.
is still on the plate.
What the beauty of it is, the ASCA model's already determined that for us. We have percentages for every single grade level. We have the elementary model, we have the middle school model, and we have the high school model. So ours depends on the development of the student. So at elementary, it should be at a minimum 25%. In the middle schools, it could vary between 25 and 35%. But at the high school level, that's where a lot of this work happens. About 45% of our work should fall under post-secondary and career advising.
I think that's the key word, though.
Should. Yeah. Oh, I know.
It's like a pile. It's like a, piling on.
Yeah.
What goes away in favor of this?
Hopefully the non-counseling duties that were assigned. Yeah. Hopefully all of those other things, yeah. Or get us an automated scheduling process. Why are we having to do it still like that?
It doesn't turn out so easily.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, no, I'm saying somebody else build a master schedule, and it should be administrators because you get all the teachers going, please put me and I need to hear and I want off this. And so that's the administrator's job. It really should be. Our job is really, looking at those schedules to determine, did this really meet what the students said they needed out of this for their goals, their aspirations? That should be our job. And testing, we should be interpreting those tests for the students, not administering, not overseeing, but really the interpretation of it and connecting that with the aspirations. Again, making that connection is really important so the students know. I didn't even take it seriously because I didn't know what it meant. Now that they have a gauge for it and say, oh, so I keep telling you that I want to be a nurse, but I keep just messing around in my science classes, as opposed to taking them serious enough to go, oh yeah. We did a questionnaire for 8th graders one time, and the 8th grade students said to us, they were very honest, they were like, if I'd have known that this was actually connected to my future goals, I'd have taken it much more seriously. They don't know what they don't know, but as soon as they do, the light bulb comes on and goes, oh, that's why I'm taking this class. That's why this is important.
And I think that relates to engagement, right? Like
Yes,
we spoke of earlier.
for sure.
Because not every class is fun and engaging. I mean, let's be honest.
But if it's
But
relevant,
if it's relevant to what you're doing, then you're going to become more involved in it because there's something at stake.
and this is our counselor speak all the time. This is really what we're supposed to do. Sherry?
Would it be possible to have a resource page where that resources that maybe the
content, like embed into their curriculum. You know, Chad Foster is one of my favorite authors, Teenagers Prepared for the Real World. And in the school district I was in, toward the end of the year, the English teacher would actually then read that and discuss it. I mean, you could, you know, content across the curriculum type thing. Do we have resources available for that?
That's not part of our charge, but it does sound like something that maybe we could infuse. I don't really know. I'm gonna have to take that back to the content team. But yeah, again, using that distributive model, we need to figure out a way to say to the counselor, how would you coordinate these efforts throughout the campus so that it's not falling all on you because you don't have the time? Or, you know, once they start seeing your role and what you intend to do with students, maybe you will get more time. You know, I started a mentorship program at a high school, and it was just a Friday luncheon. And I didn't ask for permission. I was like, I'm just going to say I'm sorry later on when they see it. But then when the principal saw its value and saw the students interacting with the professional, and all of a sudden the light bulb went off. Wow, the math teacher can say this until they're blue in the face. As soon as the kid heard it from the doctor or the veterinarian or the nurse, it became real to them. And then all of a sudden he's like, should we provide lunches for these guys? Maybe we ought to meet in the library instead of that little bitty room that you had to use. It just became, they saw what the role of the counselor could be, and then they gave me the space to do that. So I think at some point when we start coordinating these efforts overall in the campus, they're going to see our role and know what we are intended to do on that campus and give us the space to do it, is my hope. But we need directors to talk about this stuff. We need education specialists who are supporting the counselors to talk about this, because counselors are not negotiators by nature. We're not. We're peacekeepers. We're negotiators in terms of our students. When they need something, we're the strongest advocate that they have, but we don't do it for ourselves. We need to learn how to.
I see is that we have such strong counselors within our region, and they're balancing that load with finesse. And so it's just like, wow, they're doing great. Let's just give some more.
Keep giving them. And we do say yes a lot. Will you grab the lights real quick? Thanks. Oh. All right, one last thing for me, please. I'll shout kid again so you don't have to learn this whole big thing. And all of those things that you said, that I said, did you include it in? You can do that here, because I really want to get as much feedback as possible from you all. Again, you can use the QR code. You can go to shoutkey.com/plum. And this is for everybody. If you could fill this out, it's just a simple survey. Has like 5 questions, but this is where you would say to me, yes, I want to be involved in the pilot. Yes, we'd like a newsletter. Yes, I'd like, there's another question on there, I don't remember. And then it's also about me. Was I engaging enough? Is this boring? Do y'all need someone else to come as opposed to me? Mark, are you actually answering emails, or are you trying to do? I'll just show you the survey now. It's really short. And then I think you have one more form that you're supposed to fill out for the region office once you get that done. Does anybody have any questions?
I've got a question. We were talking about the parent connection earlier. Has there ever been an attempt to offer any kind of educational protocol for maximizing student success for parents?
Wow. No,
once a month in the evening, throughout the year.
not anything standard, but I do know that a lot of counselors try to do that kind of thing. Yeah.
Try to have parent meetings and parent contacts, but the ones that come, that need the parenting skills are not the ones that come to come. And you can offer all kinds of cookie, we're gonna have
Yeah.
a thing, and, maybe a free dress code. You're not gonna get the ones that need the help, and that's where it takes a lot of one-on-one.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of one-on-one visiting,
So-
contact, visiting families, visiting.
Oh, nice.
Some kids go from one house to.
Again, we'd never hear that unless we have a platform that says, here's what we're doing to try to get parent engagement. Yeah.
Pathway focus is really lacking.
Oh, yeah.
And so-
Career advising. That's all of our pathway information is there. Yes. I know. So the makeup of the class, I should have done the career advising piece because these are the only two post-secondary.
No, I'm just.
Sorry. I'm so
It's
sorry.
just that's.
My fault. I'm glad you didn't fill out the survey because you would have said,
Yeah, I didn't do the
You
online one,
suck.
but I wrote it out here and said.
what?
Pathways, not for-
You're the meanest person I've ever.
Every number on there, emergency contact. is-
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Counseling positions, yeah. That's the way the state works. Hello? Have you not? Before this, yeah. Yeah. Senator Lucio, he puts in a bill almost every year about our ratios, about our percentages of work time, and yet it always gets defeated. So at least the conversation's happening, but well, thank you everybody for your time. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the feedback. We need as much feedback as possible because again, we want to be as helpful for everyone. If anyone has any more questions, I'll be here right here.
I just want to thank
Oh.
everyone for coming, and administrators, if you're in here, I want you to know that the council appreciate you very, very much. But hopefully you're seeing that there are some needs for school counselors to spend more time on doing the things that are going to benefit the student and the school district.
For sure. Thanks. Oh, and if anybody wants my card, I have a card.